Vancouver, right?
Yeah, Vancouver. I
Yeah,
love Vancouver.
I visited Vancouver 3 years ago.
Yeah, Vancouver is beautiful.
Yeah, very beautiful.
I was there maybe 6 years ago, my last time there. Very,
Mm,
very beautiful place.
but a little lonely place.
Yeah, it depends because I mean Canada, a lot of the cities are very, very far away from each other. So
Hmm.
if you are driving from Vancouver to, I mean, the nearest big city is maybe in Alberta, which is
Yeah,
the next province. Yeah.
kind of quiet city.
Yeah, yeah. It's nice. It's nice. The quiet and but I love the scenery in Vancouver. It's a very beautiful place.
Yes,
The
yes.
the the mountains and the water and it's that part of the country and that part of Canada, also that part of the United States next to Canada. So
Hmm.
Washington State.
There are many
Uh,
Chinese, right?
there are a lot of Chinese people in Vancouver. Yeah,
Chinese.
very very high Asian population in general.
Because closest city from Asian country.
It is. It is. It's almost like a combination of San Francisco and Seattle, except
Yes,
in
yes.
Canada.
Hmm.
So San Francisco has a lot of, amazing Asian food, large Chinatown.
Yes, yes.
Vancouver's Chinatown is huge, also
Yeah,
very
yeah.
big.
Very big and
Yeah,
old.
yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. There's some nice places
Hmm.
in Vancouver. One of my friends went there 2 or 3 months ago, and he really enjoyed it. I told him all the different places to go and visit, and he liked it.
I stayed only 3 days. But actually, I couldn't enjoy because all days it rained. It rained.
Yeah, Vancouver, that's the one problem with living in that part of the country. Or I keep saying that part of the country because I think of Seattle and Vancouver being in the same area, really. So
Hmm.
Seattle, Washington, and Vancouver, Canada are really in the same weather system. They have a lot of rain. In the US, we call it the Pacific Northwest. So that part of the country, that corner near Vancouver and Seattle is the Pacific Northwest. And
Hmm.
they get a lot of rain. Yeah, but that's why it's so green. It's extremely green.
Oh, yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, I love it. If somebody gave me a job, I would move to Vancouver today.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no hesitation. I would move right now. Right now. I
But
would
California, you can do it from anywhere.
Yeah, no, that's true. If I were to go there for school or for like a full-time job, then I would go
Mm.
to Vancouver. Yeah. If somebody gave me a full-time job right now, then I would not hesitate. Just instantly I would go to Vancouver. Beautiful,
Oh.
beautiful place. Beautiful.
Mhm.
Vancouver, also Arizona. I know they have nothing in similar, nothing in
Mm.
common between those two
Mm.
places, but I love Arizona.
Oh,
Love
really?
Arizona. Absolutely love Arizona.
Why? It's
The
very hot.
weather, the weather is amazing. See, it's hot, but depends where, right? So
Mm.
I like Tucson, Arizona.
How
Um,
the Phoenix?
Phoenix is hot. Yeah,
Mm.
Tucson is also hot. They're both dry, but it's dry heat. It's not
Mm.
humid. It's not humid.
Mm.
So it's always besides June, July, August, it's maybe 72, 73 degrees all the time,
Mm.
right? But in June, July, August, it's 105, 107 Fahrenheit.
Mm.
So extremely, extremely hot temperatures. Um, it's that's what makes me a little sad about living where I live because it's beautiful. I love Wisconsin,
Mm.
but the 6 months of the year are so cold, and
Mm.
the other 6 months are nice, but depends on the winter. The winters here are very, very long. I don't like
Mm.
the winter as much as I did before.
In Arizona, there are many Mexicans, right?
In Arizona, there are
Mexican,
many what?
many Mexican people.
Yes, yes, the entire Southwest. So
Mm.
Texas, New Mexico. Actually, honestly, these days, Mexican Americans are everywhere. They
Mm.
very vibrant culture, and they've reached, they have strong population centers all over the country. So
Mm.
even in my city, we have a strong Mexican American population.
Mm.
Yeah. So it's nice. I really like Texas also. I love Texas because everything is conveniently. located. Like you have one state and you can find everything in that state. It's a huge state, so driving is difficult. If you are traveling from one city to another city, you have to drive maybe 3 hours.
When I hear the Texas, my image was like a Western movie.
Like the cowboys, right?
Yeah, desert.
Yeah.
Some weed is rolling, moving around.
It's, I love that cowboy culture. I actually really love that cowboy culture because I think of the cowboy culture and I feel like it's such an independent way to live, right? You don't care about anybody, you don't care about anything except, you just live your life and people are relaxed and they're very patriotic and very good people. I like Texans because they eat good food, they are very kind, they have a very independent way of life. They don't tolerate any kind of silly
I
situation.
heard beef steak was very cheap in Texas.
Oh, Texas is full of meat. I mean, if you want meat, there's no better state. Steak and beef and brisket and barbecue and anything you can imagine. Anything you can imagine. Texas is beautiful. I love Texas. But it's hot. It's a hot state. Depends on where you are. Yeah, in Texas, they have dry heat. They also have wet heat. They also have very humid weather in Texas. So it depends where. But Texas is very, very cheap state to live in also. So I love that because for students like me, or not students, but I guess for young people like me, we are still trying to figure out what we want to do. It's better to live in a state that has lower cost of living.
But if I can choose any place in America, I choose New York.
Yeah, a lot of people love New York. My parents love New York. I mean, that's why they live in New York. But New York, man, I'm bored of New York. I'm bored of the East Coast in general. I lived in New York. I lived near Boston. I went to Washington D.C. many times. I need to go west. I need to go west. For me, everything is in California, and also Arizona, and also Texas. So in the West. Exactly. No, it's fun. I look forward to maybe moving. I'm thinking of going to school in Texas, actually, going to graduate school in Texas. So maybe next year or in a few months, I'll be doing my classes from Texas.
It's good.
I don't know. Yeah, it'll be nice. Julissa, bienvenida otra vez. How are you?
Gracias. Hi. Hello.
Good. I thought you keep surprising me. It's such a pleasant surprise, Julissa.
Yeah, the system it doesn't suspend yet, so I think I still have a few more hours or days. I don't know.
Maybe. That's awesome. Did you guys change your times to 1 hour back? Did you guys reverse your clocks today, Julissa?
No, we don't do that.
Oh, so right now in Lima, is it 7:11?
Yeah, 7 p.m.
Here it's 6:11.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we changed an hour, so now we are back 1 hour. What about you guys don't do that at all in the year? Never.
No.
Okay. Yeah, daylight savings, it's one of the crazy things about living here in the US and Canada and other countries where in the middle of the fall we do
You
that.
do this in winter and summer.
Yeah, spring and fall actually.
Oh,
Yeah, so once in the spring and once in the fall. The trick is we remember in fall you fall back 1 hour. And in spring you spring forward 1 hour. So when it's like March 11, 12, something like that, we will go back to 7 o'clock or 7:12. Right now would be 7:12. But it confuses people because today when I woke up, well actually last night I didn't go to sleep until 3 a.m. But this switch happens at 2 a.m. So all of a sudden the clock went from 1:59 to 12:59. Right? So I said, what? Because I forgot that it was going to happen last night. But it went from 1:59 and then 2 a.m. it goes back 1 hour. So it went back from 1:59 to 12:59. I was very surprised by that. Yeah. I mean, I wasn't surprised. I knew it was going to happen, but people say that we now have the chance to sleep an extra hour. It's not really true. I mean, you're sleeping the same amount of time. The clock has changed 1 hour. So,
Mm,
yeah, it's interesting.
yeah. But if you usually woke up at 8, now how it is? You sleep 1 more hour?
Yeah, so that's what people say, right? So yesterday, if I woke up in the morning at 8 a.m., today that would mean 7 a.m. So if my schedule is to wake up at 8 a.m., when I wake up this morning and I see 7 o'clock, which is actually 8 o'clock yesterday, then technically I have an hour extra, right? Because in my mind I'm thinking, oh, it's only 7 o'clock. Normally I wake up at 8 o'clock. So you get that extra hour of sleep. But is it really, you're not getting any time, right? I mean, the mental process should be yesterday 8 o'clock means today 7 o'clock. So if I woke up yesterday at 8, I should wake up today at 7, right? That's the correct translation. But people are people, and we're lazy. So yesterday 8 o'clock means today 8 o'clock. So I get an extra hour of sleep.
Yeah, well,
That's what people say.
you can have always everything that you want.
That's true, absolutely true. But it's funny because like Norway, when I was driving back, I was outside today. I was driving back home, and I heard Norway has like because it's so far north, there are some places in Norway that are completely dark the entire year, and 6 months of the year completely dark at like night outside. 6 months of the year completely light outside. So, because it's so far north, near the North Pole, that, if you are, it's July and it's daylight 24 hours. It could be midnight, but the sun is still shining outside. 1 a.m., the sun is still shining outside. 5 a.m., sun is still shining outside. And then in the winter, every hour of the day outside is dark. So 10 a.m., it's pitch black, like night outside.
Wow,
Yeah, I would love to like live there for a couple of weeks to see if that would like change me. Can you imagine like getting up in the morning and it's dark outside, or going to sleep at
going to
night?
sleep.
Yeah, and it's
How do they do
completely bright. Yeah.
how do they do to sleep? They have to put curtains.
Yeah, they got to put up their curtains and their blinds or whatever, close the windows, right? So they don't. But I mean, not a lot of people live there. Very, very few people live there, but it was interesting for me to see that they did a special documentary on those people to see how they live. But interesting. Awesome, guys. Well, welcome, welcome. So Sunday night is not very popular. We only had 3 people in the last class, and now it's 2 people. So, but anyway, you guys are great for joining. So today, guys, we're going to be looking at prepositions of place and time, which I think we've looked at many times in the past, but we are going to be reviewing that lesson. And in the second part, we are going to be talking about Vancouver, which, in my opinion, and Heidi and I were talking before, Jaleesa, Vancouver is probably in my opinion, it's the most beautiful Canadian city. Um, Montreal is very close, but Vancouver is also very beautiful. I love the Pacific Ocean. I'm sure you do too, Jaleesa. In Lima, you guys have access to the Pacific Ocean. And being close to the ocean is just a very beautiful thing, and the city is amazing. So we're going to talk about Vancouver. The one question I have for you guys, since we are talking about travel, is if you could choose one place in the entire world, where would you like to visit? Let's start with Jaleesa.
One place.
Your dream vacation, Jaleesa.
It has to be in a specific place or a country.
It could be a country, yeah.
Only one?
Only one.
Wow.
Your most favorite, your dream destination, dream vacation.
Mm, Maybe, I don't know. I don't have one favorite. Uh,
What are your top favorites then? What are the few that you can't decide between?
I would like to visit Brazil,
Uh-huh.
the US, Canada, China.
Brazil, U.S., Canada, China, Italy. Okay, that's 5.
So I would choose mm, China.
China, really?
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Why China?
I'm curious to know about their culture. They seem to be. I took a course when I was in college, and we could see a little bit about their long history, so many periods, and I don't know. I would like to go there to see how it is,
Hmm.
the
Maybe visit the Great Wall.
structures. Yeah, and there is the Forbidden City.
Yes,
It's
yes, yes.
I don't know, it seems an interesting place to be. And
Yeah,
well,
no,
the food
China.
it's also known to be very varied,
Uh-huh.
diverse, delicious. So I would like to try the food there, the landscape to go and see. Yeah, I don't know. It seems like it's so far away that it's it calls my attention. It
That's awesome.
calls or it draws
It draws my attention is
catch
better.
it draws my attention.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. I love how you gave a lot of good reasons, right, for why you like China. So their food definitely internationally known, right? China is almost like many different countries. There are so many varieties of foods and languages in different parts and uh, societies, architecture, landscape. Yeah, that's an awesome, awesome choice. China was never that high on my list, but I think those are some great points. Those are some really good points. What about you, Heidi? Where would you go if you could choose one place in the world?
I'm sorry, I'm muted. Sure, I want to be Italy.
And you
Sicily,
want to go to
Sicily
Italy?
Island.
Sicily.
Yeah,
Have you been there before?
yeah, I stayed in Sicily and for 1 month.
And why would you choose to go back then?
There are many islands.
Uh,
We can go around the island, and the food is very delicious. They
yeah.
produce a lot of vegetables, fruits, and even meat and sausage, ham, cheese. There are many kind of cheese.
Yeah. Mozzarella.
Mozzarella.
Yeah, right? It's very true, right? So
Yeah,
Italian food is known for the variety, but also for how healthy it is, right?
prosciutto crudo.
Prosciutto.
Prosciutto.
Arrivederci.
Arrivederci. Buongiorno.
Buongiorno. Yeah, I'm making fun of the accent, but it's here we have a lot of Italians,
Mm.
millions of Italian Americans
Oh,
live in the
really?
U.S. Oh yeah, tons. I mean, their grandparents came from Italy, so they are fully Americanized, 100% American. But Italian culture is very strong in Boston, in New York, in other cities, definitely in the eastern part of the country.
Mm.
So I had a lot of friends, ton of friends growing up Italian. Italian women are very beautiful. Italian food is delicious. Italian culture is amazing.
Italian guys are very cool.
Italian guys are cool too. Yeah, they have really good fashion.
Yeah,
They have really
nice.
good. Yeah, yeah. Italy is a good country, but they're not doing that well economically right now, right?
Yes, now.
Berlusconi he's not a very good prime minister.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's kind of corrupt, I think, right? So that's awesome. Grazie, grazie, Heidi, grazie.
Grazie.
Yeah. So awesome. So Italy and China, two fantastic countries, right? So we're going to go to Canada instead. So sorry to disappoint you guys, but we're going to go to Canada. But before we go to Canada, let's take a look at these prepositions. So from and to, right? From we use when we talk about origin, right? I am from China. Heidi is from Japan, right? So when we're talking about an origin, either as a nationality or as an ethnicity, as well as an origin in an itinerary, an origin in travel, right? I am leaving from Lima to I'm traveling from Lima to Beijing, right? I'm traveling from a destination reaching another destination, going to another destination. So that actually uses both of these phrases, both of these prepositions, right? From and to, right? You can say, I'm leaving from my house in 5 minutes, right? It's a little weird to say it that way, honestly. Common conversation, we just say, I'm leaving my house in 10 minutes. I'm leaving my house in 5 minutes. But if you want, you can say, I'm leaving from my house, from the office, from school in 10 minutes, right? So that's the first way we use from when we're talking about either origin or when we're talking about an origin in terms of nationality or an origin in terms of where you're starting your journey, right? And to is where you're the destination that you're going to, right? When you're talking about travel, you use that as your destination. So Julissa, you said that you would travel to China, and Heidi, you said that you would travel to Italy, right? So specifically, I wanted to see if you guys could give me another example of using from and to in a sentence. Just a basic example. Let's start with Julissa, please.
Okay. From and to.
You can talk about China if you wish. You can talk about anything else that you want.
I would like to. No. I need to. No. I am blocked. Okay.
Those are both great sentences. I don't know why you stopped. They sounded great. I would like to. I need to. What's the rest of it?
I have one.
Yeah.
Traveling from Lima to Cusco takes you about 3 hours, 4 hours by plane.
Traveling from Lima to Cusco takes you about 4 hours by plane. Fantastic. Fantastic, right? Nothing wrong with that sentence. 100% correct. Traveling from Lima to Cusco takes you 4 hours by plane. Great job. Heidi, another example using from and to.
I'm going to Italy, Sicily Island from Japan, Kansai Airport, next month.
Really, are you going next month?
No.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say this dream vacation thing is a reality. No. So I'm traveling from Japan to the island of Sicily.
Sicily.
To the island of Sicily, right? Fantastic. So you guys, I think, get that. Any questions about from and to, guys?
No.
Yeah, it's kind of a lesson. I know you guys have definitely taken this lesson before with me. So from and until, right? From and to are for destination. When we are talking about when we use from and until, guys, we are talking about starting and ending points in time, not in place, right? So one thing to keep in mind is until, many times we say till in English, right? We drop the un because we're lazy. So I'm going to be driving from 3 p.m. till 7 p.m. tonight. So don't call me. I'll be driving from 3 p.m. till 7 p.m. Right? I'm not going to be able to answer your call because I'll be driving. Right? I will be, and it doesn't matter what the length of time is. Right? You can say years, you can say months, you can say hours. Doesn't matter. Right? She is in jail. She was in jail from 2007 until 2009. So she was in jail for 2 years. Right? I will be working from 6 a.m. until 9 p.m., right? 15-hour days, right? So, and we can also, we don't have to use from in a sentence necessarily. You can also just give the end point, right? I will be working until 6 p.m. tonight, right? He will be working until his wife comes home, right? So from and until, we're talking about time specifically, right? Any questions about the use of those two prepositions, guys?
No, it's clear.
Okay. Well, Julissa, since you answered first, could you give us an example using from and until?
Okay.
Sorry about that. I had to do that. I was waiting for the first person to volunteer. Okay.
The wedding party went from dusk till dawn.
Fantastic. The
No,
wedding
from
party.
dusk to dawn.
From dusk to dawn, or from, well, we want to use until, right? Did you say till or to? I'm sorry, Julissa.
To.
To, right? So, we can use to, but for the purpose of this lesson, could we use till or until?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So we
It's
could
better, right?
Yeah, it'd be a little bit better, right? So we could say the wedding party lasted from dawn dusk till dawn, right? Dusk till dawn or dusk until dawn. So both of them are the same thing. Dusk till dawn, dusk until dawn, right? Both of them mean the exact same thing. And what's another sentence, Julissa, if you don't want to use from, and you just want to say the end point of something, then how can you just use until or till in a sentence? Because remember, we don't necessarily have to use from. We can, but we don't have to.
For example, they were studying from 9 to 11 p.m.
Yeah, fantastic. We don't want to use from, though. So if we take away the from, what do we have?
Things.
Well, no. Let's just remember, Julissa, there are some sentences in English that we can say without any from or any beginning point. We can just talk about the end point. Right? So you can also say, like, let's say I'm working, right? You ask me, hey, man, what are you doing? Oh, I'm going to be working until 6 p.m. Right? That's it. So the sentence only has until or till. It doesn't have any beginning of time information. It doesn't have any information about when the task or activity actually began. So you can just say they were working until 9 p.m. right? Or they worked until 9 p.m. right? So you can say just until in a sentence. You don't always need from with until.
Okay.
Does that make sense, Julissa? Yeah.
Yes, but it is possible to use from and until?
Oh yeah, all the time, all the time. You can. That's the better way to say it, right? So when you said it before, that was perfect. The wedding party lasted from dawn. I'm sorry, I keep saying from dawn. From dusk until dawn, right? So from and until, fantastic. You can use them both, but you can also just use until.
Until. Okay. It's another form.
It's another form, exactly. If you don't want to mention when it started, you can just use until.
Okay.
Yeah, awesome. Heidi, could you give us an example with from and until?
I'll go to Italy next month. I'll be on the plane from 9 a.m. until 10 p.m.
Fantastic. From 9 a.m. until 10 p.m. Wow, so that's a 13-hour flight.
Yes, already 13 hours.
Yeah, that's long. Is it a direct flight, or is there a stop in Rome before?
Yeah, it's direct flight.
From Osaka to Sicily.
Osaka to Milan.
Osaka to Milan, but then Milan to Sicily is going to be further.
This is Catania, airport Catania, so I need to change airplane.
Yeah. And go from Milan Malpensa to Sicily's airport.
Catania.
Oh, okay. There's also a city named Palermo, right? Or Palmero?
Yeah, there's Palermo airport, but I love Catania.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, Milan is very nice, from what I've heard. The fashion scene is amazing.
Yeah.
In Milan. Very nice. Grazie, Heidi, grazie.
Ciao.
And so, guys, any questions on from and until before we go to the very last one?
No question.
Sweet. So through, guys, through is the last type of example when we're talking about place or time, right? If we use the preposition through when it comes to place, we can say I am driving through the jungle to reach my destination, or I am driving on my trip from Peru to Bolivia. I will travel through the jungle. Right? On my trip from London to Scotland, I will drive through most of England. Right? You're driving through a destination, meaning you are not stopping. You are going through that destination. Right? And in the case of time, we use through to mention that same kind of era, continuity, right? So this person was famous through the 1960s or throughout the 1960s. Elvis Presley was a famous icon throughout or through the 20th century, right? Personally, when I think of time, guys, I prefer to use throughout, right? He was a very famous celebrity throughout the 1960s or through the 1960s. Through to me sounds a little bit more unusual, but I guess it's proper to use through also. So does that make sense, guys, for both time and place, how we use through?
Yeah.
Makes sense? Okay, so Heidi, since you volunteered first, can you give us an example of a sentence with through for place and also for through with time?
Okay. I'll go to Catania from Kansas Airport through Milan.
Fantastic, fantastic. And then one for time.
My flight will be until 10 p.m. through daytime.
Yeah, through daytime, right? So that's a good way of thinking about it, right? Or you could also say, I will be on my flight through the entire night, right? Or through the entire day. So I will be on my flight through the entire day, right? Or I will be flying through the entire day. I will be flying through the entire day, right? So both of those indicate that you're passing that large span of time doing something, right? Through the day, through the month, through the week, whatever, right? So those are good examples. And two sentences from you too, Julissa, as well, please. So first one with the location and through, and the second one with time and through.
Okay. They travel through all Peru.
They traveled through Peru. That's fine. That makes sense, right? But what does that sentence mean? Does that mean they stopped in Peru then?
No, I said through all.
Oh, through all of Peru.
Uh-huh.
So they traveled through all of Peru. Yeah, that's a good way to think about it, right? They traveled through all of Peru, right? So that means that they went everywhere in Peru, right? So it's not always about stopping. I'm glad you mentioned that, Julissa. It's not always that you're not stopping when you're going through a location. Usually that's the idea, that you're just going through. It's not your destination and it's not your origin. It's just something in the middle. But we can use through when we're talking about, I walked through the park, right? Yeah, sure, you were walking through, maybe you stopped, maybe you didn't, it doesn't matter, right? You saw the park.
In this case, do I need the of or just they travel through all Peru?
I think you can say all Peru. You absolutely can. It doesn't sound wrong to me, but all of Peru is more safe. So if you say, for example, I traveled through all of China, I traveled through all of Peru, it's a little bit better to say the of.
Okay.
I think depending on the context, some people might say all Peru and it sounds okay. Like when I heard it, it didn't sound wrong. It sounded okay. But I definitely know all of Peru is going to be correct. Yeah. So of is a little bit safer. And what about with the time, Julissa? Through with time.
Boys bands were popular through the 90s.
Yeah, right. Boy bands. So what are some of those famous boy bands, Julissa? Did you listen to them when you were younger?
Oh, yes. I am still a fan of the Backstreet Boys.
No way.
Oh, yes. Yes, way.
Oh my God. You actually like that music?
Yeah, sure. But now, no, they don't sing anymore, I think. But
Oh.
their old music were really nice. I like it. And
Okay.
they came here a few years ago, and I went to their concert. But they couldn't dance as they did in the past. They are very old. Not old, but older.
Yeah. They're not in the 90s. I mean, what was the other boy band that was very famous?
And sing.
Yeah, NSYNC. NSYNC and Backstreet Boys. Those guys.
But here, their popularity became during the 2000s.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I mean, early 2000s, late 1990s, mid through late 1990s. I remember 1998, the sensation was Britney Spears. 1999, Britney Spears also. I mean, she became a celebrity of every girl, every boy's imaginary girlfriend, right? Britney Spears and all of this crazy stuff, right? So, yeah, boy bands, they're definitely very popular through the 90s. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a nice time for music.
I loved the 90s, not just for music, but for everything. You know, the world was so much at peace. Like Bill Clinton was president, things were great. You know, no Iraq, no wars, no terrorism. I mean, there was obviously terrorism, but nothing like this crazy post 9/11. You know, everybody is, we're always worried about everything. I don't know. This is just before the internet became crazy, also, right? When the computers were just coming out and we were still, you know, watching video cassettes, VCRs, and
Yeah.
I loved those days. They, like, we still had imagination. I remember playing with toy soldiers when I was 5 years old, 6 years old, right? Legos. Now kids play on tablets.
Or
And
puzzles.
yeah, yeah, right? Puzzles, all kinds of different things that make us, you use your creativity, and now the creativity is made
Is using
for
you.
us. Yeah, the creativity is using us, right? We are the objects of the creativity. We are not making the creativity ourselves, right? I mean, people are, obviously Apple is, Google is, but individual creativity, I think, has gone way down. So just imagination has gone way down. Anyway, I have to stop talking about that stuff. You guys did a great job, guys, with through, right? Any questions about from, to, from, until, or through?
No.
Okay, sounds good. Heidi, you're good as well?
Yes, okay.
Okay, fantastic. So let's go to Vancouver, guys. Let's get ready to go. So what is Vancouver? Vancouver is in British Columbia, it's a province of British Columbia in Western Canada on the Pacific coast, right? So it's a little bit longer article. I'm not going to be doing all the reading because it's really not necessary. I'm going to focus on a couple of areas and I'm going to highlight those areas for you guys too. So 5 reasons to go to Vancouver this fall, right? Affectionately named Van City, Vancouver, Canada's Pacific Northwest jewel, has just put away the summertime gear in time to usher in fall with oodles of other delights. Oodles is a funny word that means many, many other delights, right? So oodles of joy, for example, they use this phrase, oodles of joy, oodles of happiness, means a lot of happiness, right? Take in activities both indoor and out, and diets be damned, decadent confections too, right? So this guy's being creative. He's saying there are activities indoors and outdoors. There are, you know, damn diets. No one cares about diets. Let's eat some amazing sugary food because it's fall, and we have 5 awesome reasons to go to Vancouver. So tuck into pastries, chocolate, and coffee. Venezuela, what am I saying? Vancouver has amazing food trucks, right? So there's one called the Beta 5, which creates innovative confections like ruby dust finished, chocolate covered, freeze dried strawberries. Okay, chocolate covered and freeze dried, right? Fruit infused caramels, okay, caramels with fruit inside, and also cream puffs, right? So really, really delicious dessert. Um, the German chocolatier pastry chef Thomas Haas has namesake cafes both within Kitsilano and North Vancouver, so 2 locations. And he is loved for the macaroons, chocolates, and double-baked almond croissants, right? A lot of high-calorie food, right? They have this cafe, Boku Bakery and Cafe, is dangerously delicious. Peanut butter sandwich cookies, coffee beans, make Vancouver's 49th parallel store one of the best coffee places in Canada, on par with the Europe's finest. So some of the best coffee in Europe you can find in places like Vancouver's 49th parallel. So definitely a lot of food. I want to see if they have any pictures of this here. So this is, I'm sure you guys have seen this before. These are just donuts, right? Very famous food item in the US and in Canada also. Um, very bad for you health-wise, but you have cream, you have, this is fried dough with cream on top. Does it look delicious, guys?
Yes.
I think it looks pretty delicious, right? But it's one of these things that, people enjoy in the winter and they don't really eat any other time. Oh, well, actually, no, people eat it all the time, but you're not supposed to because it's really bad for you. But so then this next neighborhood, guys, Gastown in Vancouver, right? So let's see. After a few years of high-speed indie boutique-fueled gentrification, right? This means that this area did not usually have a lot of people. In the past, this neighborhood of Gastown didn't have a lot of people, but now it has been gentrified, right? So, Julissa, it's interesting because the word gentrification comes from, gente. Gente is people, right? So gentrifying some place means to bring people to that location. So now this Gastown district is very popular. It has a coffee place called the Revolver. It has lunch, a sushi place at Sea Monster Sushi. Amazing salsa verde smeared porchetta sandwich at Meat and Bread. So a lot of food, right? Amazing amount of food. And this right here is a marketplace in Vancouver. Oh, so we're going to get to this marketplace afterwards. But as you can see, it's a city of a lot of food. It's a city of a lot of cafes, a lot of European-style cafes. Make way for the market. This is a serious foodie city, and Granville Island's public market marks ground zero for chefs and consumers alike. Just across the way, Edible Canada serves as both a farm-to-table restaurant and shopping emporium for Canadian-made artisanal edibles. If you're feeling indulgent, try their Little Duckers, duck fat fried donut holes topped with double smoked bacon, salted caramel, and chocolate sauce. Right? This is a loaded thing, right? It's donuts, so it's dough with duck fat and bacon and caramel and chocolate sauce. Right? So really a lot going on here. And then I'm going to skip to this very last thing, which is really the culture of the city, right? So this is one of their main, I think it's their museum, or this is, the Vancouver Art Gallery. Lots of museums in Vancouver, lots of beautiful places, and it's right on the water. So the Pacific Ocean is very nearby. They have a lot of art galleries and art shows. Let's see if they say anything specific here. No, nothing really that big here, I guess. I'm going to skip to this next one, which is outdoors activities. Vancouver is well known for the outdoors. So people go to Whistler. Whistler is a nearby mountain for skiing, hiking, and they do. So the zip line company Superfly. This is called a zip line, guys. Right? You can ride on a zip line. So this company Superfly allows you to zip line between two mountains, Cougar and Rainbow, 600 feet above the rainforest. So it's exciting. They do a lot of outdoors activities there. And if you guys don't mind, I'm going to just show you. I thought they had a picture of Vancouver in this article, but I'm going to show you a picture on Google because city is marvelous. I mean, it's right on the water, right? So there's a lot of amazing things to do. Let's look at this one right here, actually. I think it's a good picture. It's right on the water, right? So you see all the skyscrapers, a lot of boats and stuff like that. So people do a lot of water activities. What do you guys think? Would you guys like to go to Vancouver in the autumn?
Yes, I went to Gastown every day.
Oh, you were in Gastown every day before?
There's the ice cream shop.
Uh-huh.
It's a very famous place.
Did they? What kind of ice cream did they have? Was it like gelato?
Yeah, gelato.
Gelato, nice.
And flavor.
That's awesome. Yeah, Italian ice cream is definitely delicious. Juan, what about you? I know you joined a little bit late, but from what you heard about Vancouver, you would like to visit?
Yeah, I was hearing what you said, and yes, I'm sorry for being late.
Oh, no worries. That's fine. That's awesome. So, what would you like to do there? Juan. Depending on, we saw about 3 or 4 different things, right? We saw food, outdoor activities, the art galleries, the culture. What do you usually like to do when you go to a new city? What's the first thing you like to
Um,
try, maybe?
to who you ask?
To you, Juan. Yeah, if you don't
Okay, well,
mind.
everything lacks, but museums I don't like.
Everything except for museums.
Yeah,
Really? Why not museums?
nah, it's kind of boring for me.
Yeah, my mom is the same way. She hates 2 places. She never goes to zoos and she never goes to museums.
No, well, I like zoos
You
because
like
I
zoos,
like
yeah.
animals, yeah. But museum, well, it depends. For example, there are museums like you can touch and make some experiments. I like that. But there are, for example, history that you only see pictures and mannequins, and I don't like it. Just
Yeah.
walking around and seeing what's up.
Uh-huh. Walking around and reading about dead people,
Yeah,
right? Yeah, that's what people say a lot. So one way you can say that, Juan, is you like interactive museums, right?
interactive museum. Okay.
Yeah, interactive museums allow you to touch, do experiments, and a lot of science museums are like that actually. So I think because of people generally are very bored of museums, they are trying to make museums more exciting. So a lot of the science, American Museum of Natural History in New York City, I think, has a lot more hands-on kind of interactive activities now. So, for example, if you're learning about the Native Americans, right? It's history, but you're learning about the Native Americans or the Aztecs or the Mayans, right? You can actually build like a small pyramid and see how they did it. Stuff like that, makes it a little bit more fun for people. So.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome. Uh-huh. Juan, that's great. Julissa, what do you like most about Vancouver from what we saw in the article?
I like the food. It says that they have a variety of pastries. So
Yeah,
I like the sweets. I would like to try that.
yeah, that's awesome. And what kinds of pastries were drew your attention in this
It
article?
says vanilla cake,
Uh-huh,
peanut butter sand cookies.
uh-huh.
What else? In general, I think I would like to try different types of pastry.
Yeah, no, Vancouver, Canadian bakeries are really very well known for their European influence as well as their North American influence. So, for example, I think one of the best places to go if you want European food is Montreal also. So Montreal, maybe I will do another class one day, but Montreal is all about French food and everything is very European. People are eating baguettes and croissants, and it's a very European city in the middle of Canada. So it's a very very nice place. Um, so the other thing I wanted to ask you guys was, when it comes to nightlife, right? What do you guys look for when you visit a new city? Let's say you are traveling to a new city. What do you like about the nightlife in that city, or does the nightlife attract you at all? Heidi, let's start with you.
I'm not a night person.
Not so
I don't
much.
go around the daytime.
Yeah,
About Vancouver, there's a very wide park, like Central Park, right?
Stanley Park. Yeah.
Yeah.
Stanley Park. Yeah. And so, what do you do? What do you enjoy doing at night? Do you enjoy taking a walk in the park, maybe near the water, things like that?
Yeah, I had a tour at the park.
Hmm.
There are several guides. Then I asked the guide to have a tour with other participants.
Nice, that's awesome. Yeah, I remember Stanley Park as being a very beautiful place. A lot of history there also. Juan, you're saying Victoria is a beautiful city, and also food is the best of the best. What about
Yeah.
nightlife?
In the live world, what about going dancing?
Yeah,
What
discos,
about
man.
go
Yeah.
to drinking some nice club?
Uh-huh.
And yeah, and chatting around only with friends.
Uh-huh. It's fun.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
what I
good.
like the most is dancing.
Dancing, you love dancing.
Yeah,
That's awesome. Have you been to another city before where you showed your dancing to
yeah,
people?
but the other people dance in a straight way, so they look at me and say, "What?" They suddenly notice that you are a stranger.
Uh-huh. That's fine. It doesn't matter, right? I mean, people are
Yeah,
having
yeah.
fun. Yeah, yeah.
I like to dance. It doesn't matter if people look at me.
That's good. That's the right attitude, Juan. It doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
You're having fun. You're not hurting anybody. That's all that matters, right? Life is too short.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Life is way too short. So that's great. But what were you saying about Victoria, Juan? Victoria is also very beautiful. Have you heard about Victoria?
Yeah, I have a friend of mine that they told me he was in Victoria and highly recommend me this place.
Yeah, Victoria is also extremely beautiful. It's the capital of British Columbia, so it's the capital of that province in Canada, and the nature and the scenery around Victoria is very, very beautiful. Um, the forests also. I'll see if I can find a picture, guys. But yeah, have you been to Vancouver ever, Juan? Have you visited?
Sorry?
Have you visited Vancouver? Have you visited Victoria? Or?
No, no, no. I never been in Canada because the time I would like to go or I wanted to go, they asked me for a visa, so I have to make an interview with the consul.
Mm-hmm.
And so, well, it's a lot of paper, so I quit it.
Mm-hmm.
But I saw
Yeah.
that Canada was more open than the USA to receive people, I think.
He used to be, but not now.
Mm.
He's asking as well as the United States for a visa.
Okay. I think when you go to study or you decide to live there, I think then is when they welcome you, and I think you can study even for free English and French.
Yeah, I've heard that too. Juan, what do you think? Yeah, go ahead.
No, no say maybe I don't know. You have to make some research.
Yeah, I don't know, guys. Honestly, I remember like I think things are getting bad. Canada is generally more open than the United States, but I think it's difficult for many people now because Canada is also closing up their they're not as open as before maybe,
Mm.
unfortunately,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think it because they get a lot of immigration, so in some certain way they want to stop it.
Yeah, it's kind of sad, right? Especially they shouldn't make the I mean, I should also speak for the United States. We shouldn't make the visa process that difficult because I mean, Canada, Mexico, North America, we're brothers, right? I mean, Canada, Mexico, and the United States,
They
right? I
say
mean,
so, but I don't think so.
yeah, maybe there is some discrimination, right, when it comes to
Yeah,
that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's unfortunate, very, very sad.
even
So,
in the United States they don't want Mexican people there because they say that we are kind of rude, kind of bad people.
I mean, yeah, you have idiots everywhere, like any American who thinks that, I think, doesn't know anything about their own background, right? I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
uh, this is a country of immigrants, right? I mean,
yeah. It's people who only speak for he has mouth.
exactly, exactly. They like to hear themselves speak.
Hmm.
Yeah, we say that in English. They like to hear themselves speak. Very, shallow-minded people, right? Um, but yeah, so Julissa, what is your favorite thing to do at night? What is nightlife big for you when you're in a new city? Do you like to go drinking, bars, seeing the sights?
Yes, as Juan said, it is usually to go to dance, but
Uh-huh.
not every night. Maybe one night as a way to say goodbye to the city. It's nice to go
Oh.
and dance and drink a little bit.
Uh-huh.
Why just a little bit?
Come on. I don't like to drink
Okay,
too much
you can
because
avoid the Hanover.
no,
Yeah.
because when I drink too much, I notice when I'm talking too much, okay. I say, this is it, no
Yeah,
more.
but
I can
do you
start doing.
notice? Sorry. Do you notice when you drink, your English it comes easily?
I haven't spoken
No?
English while drinking,
Okay.
but
That's
maybe
good
I
though.
think
That's good. We should try, right?
it could be.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you feel less worried about your mistakes, so you just talk,
Exactly.
talk,
Yeah.
talk. Uh-huh.
You lost
Yeah.
all your fears to your uh how do you say it? You
Fears,
are more your fear,
worries.
yeah. You lost your fears
Yeah, you lose your
and you don't
fears, huh?
worry much about what other people said. So
Yeah. Another really good way to say that, guys, is you lower your inhibitions. Your inhibition
inhibition.
is,
Uh,
yeah, it's what keeps you from, when you have some alcohol, your inhibitions are lowered. So you start talking, you start being more social,
I
right?
or
I have
laughing
a
about anything.
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
right?
Well,
Yeah.
it depends. Yeah, but I have
That's
a good anecdote about it
uh-huh.
because when I visit my relatives in Atlanta, I was afraid to speak in English with them. But then after 2 shows or 3 shows, I started to speak English, and they, oh, you see, Uncle, you can speak very well.
Yeah.
It worked.
Yeah. It does. It does. Sometimes, alcohol does the trick, guys. It's not always a bad thing. Always,
Yeah,
but in moderation. It has to be in moderation, right?
Yes,
of
yes.
course.
Yeah, of course, of course. Now they say, I'm sure you've seen this one, right? All of the beer ads, they say at the very bottom and like this big, it says drink responsibly, right?
Yeah,
So the entire page is, tequila, dos Equis, and the bottom, drink responsibly. So,
okay.
people are crazy, like it's kind of sad that we need to be so, but no, it is sad that there are so many people that die every year from like drunk driving and things like that. So, but that they have to say that at the end. It should be common sense that you drink responsibly, but we still have to say that to people. So
Yeah.
yeah, unfortunately. But yeah, guys. So any questions about? So Juan, we were looking at from and to, as well as from and until, talking about destinations, talking about travel, and then focusing on Vancouver specifically. Julissa, did you have any other questions, or Juan, any questions about the class?
In Vancouver, do they speak French or English?
No, thank God. Everywhere in Canada they speak English except for the province of Quebec, and in Quebec they speak French.
And
And
Toronto, I think.
Toronto, they speak English mostly, but there are French people there, so you might have to speak some French. But generally, everywhere outside of Quebec, you can speak English in the entire rest of the country. Quebec is they speak French, but they speak Quebecois. They speak their own dialect of French. So
Mm,
it's not the same France. It's not the same exact French that they speak in Paris, for example, but they call it Quebecois actually. So yeah, Vancouver, thank God, is English speaking. Montreal, beautiful city. Montreal, Quebec. Montreal, Quebec is a beautiful city, but you sometimes have to know French to even communicate because they know English, but they're not going to immediately answer you in English. They're going to start the conversation in French initially. So it's helpful to know some French if you're in Montreal or if you're in anywhere in Quebec.
okay.
Yeah, it's a nice city though. I mean, if you guys ever get a chance, I highly recommend it. And also, Juan, a question for you too. I asked both Julissa and Heidi, if you could choose one destination in the world to visit,
Mhm.
to go to, what would that be? Your dream destination?
Okay, definitely Japan.
Definitely Japan. Wow. Anywhere specifically in Japan or just a country?
Tokyo and Kyoto, I would like to know.
Tokyo and Kyoto, huh?
There is a city near Kyoto. Oh my God, I forget the name now. But well, in general, Japan, any part in Japan, mainly the countryside. I don't like the cities. I
You want
prefer
to
the
go to the
countryside.
countryside
Yes.
in Japan. That's awesome. Yeah, I didn't know. Japan is actually very, I mean, there's a lot of amazing culture there, you know. It's one of the things I really like about Japan as well.
Yeah. Well, what I take my attention, can I say that?
When I pay attention, maybe.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
It was the different culture they have. And I want to see for on my own eyes it is true that, for example, I know that they have a low rate of criminality.
Mm-hmm.
There are, for example, you can lose your iPhone there and they return, they don't keep it. What else? That the trains are very punctual. Um, well, many things that I was told I would like to know it is true.
Yeah, you want to admire. I think maybe you want to experience that, but also we admire that, right? Because in the U.S., nothing is on time,
Yeah.
right? Maybe in Mexico it's the same thing. Things get delayed, and it's not an efficient system. Yeah,
Exactly. They don't even give you an excuse, and they say that if the train for some reason is late, they excuse with you. Oh my God.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Japan. I love the robotic efficiency in that country. Like it's all people get their work done. People are very cultured. They have a very strong work ethic also, I think, right? I mean, the country was nuked twice and it still became the world's second largest economy 40 years later. I mean, the only country to be attacked by nuclear weapons twice,
Twice,
right?
yes.
And it's still, I mean, one of the top countries in the world. They don't care about other countries. They focus on their own work. They have their own industries. Toyota, Sony, I mean, Honda, all these companies, right? And
Once I hear an speech about, and they said how is possible that Japan is only an island and Mexico has a lot of petroleum, oil, and gas, and all this in Japan they have to export, no import, and they are, as you say, the second biggest economy in the world. So it's amazing for me.
yeah, yeah, really,
Well,
really cool.
maybe it's because of that, like the lack of too much resources make people work harder to to
Yeah,
improve
could be.
their country. It could be.
Absolutely. There's a philosophy among historians. The only reason I know is because I studied history. There's a philosophy that island nations produce very hardworking citizens because look at England, right? Same situation, right? England didn't have anything in their country until, 1800s, and then they developed industry, coal, and all of that, and then they conquered the world, I mean, England colonized every possible continent and country, England and Japan, a very similar situation, right? Island countries.
But
So, yeah.
I think as well it depends on what kind of politician do you have, because I think a good politician or I want to say honrados. I don't know how to say in
Yeah,
English.
honorable, or yeah, honorable or honestos, right? Honest politicians also,
Yeah.
right? Uh-huh.
Yeah, because for example, in the Forbes magazine, there appear 3 or 4 Mexicans of the richest people in the world. So how is possible that in Mexico is in the tercermundista?
Yeah, third world country, right?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Is
So
Mexico tercermundista? I don't think Mexico's
yeah,
tercermundista, is it?
Yeah. You have to visit. Do you
Oh,
can
wow.
see in your own eyes how is Mexico so poor?
I did not know it was tercermundista, honestly, Juan. I thought it was, I mean, I know there are problems, but, you know,
Yeah, but I think in Mexico there are 50% of poverty here.
that
So
much?
yeah, it's a
Oh,
lot of
wow.
people who live in the poverty. Yes.
Wow. That's really tough.
Yeah, and what as I said before, how is possible that one of the richest men in the world is Mexican? Oh my God, has no explanation.
Yeah. Is he the guy that some like
It's Carlos
telecommunications
Slim.
company?
Yeah, Carlos
He,
Slim.
Carlos is asleep. Okay. I heard that he has a multi-billion-dollar telecommunications program or
Yeah,
company. Yeah. Okay.
Telmex and other companies are from them,
Yeah.
as well
Wow.
as Emilio Azcárraga, who Televisa is the owner, another grand company. It's supposed that you have we don't or is no monopoly permitted here, but they own all the television, all the telecommunications, and Pemex is supposed is from Mexican. Is maybe is for the who lead the company, but is not from Mexicans. I am sure.
Yeah. That's really sad. I mean, I don't know, Juan. I don't know what to say. I mean, I haven't visited Mexico yet, but I wanted to travel in the south and also in the east coast and of course DF, but not the north. The north I heard is not that safe, you know, Laredo and those places.
Well, it's has maybe you have know that there are many criminals here, but it depends. It depends. I don't think so that in order that you couldn't travel to the north part because they I don't know why they see, but they choose the people who they want to
Kidnap or
kidnap.
whatever, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
And the thing is also I wasn't sure because I don't know if these narcotic like these drug lords and these criminals do they specifically target like, you know, um, people that look foreign because I don't really look foreign, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I my skin color is not white, right? So I don't think they're going to necessarily target someone like me, you know?
Yeah, you could pass as a Mexican easily.
Yeah, exactly, right? So, I mean, I could, or if somebody asked me, I could just say I'm from India. Like, you know, I mean, they're not
Yeah,
gonna,
yeah.
yeah.
So that's why I don't think so. You have problems traveling here, but
Yes!
well,
Viva la raza!
yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Besides, when you want to come to Mexico, just let me know, and maybe I can accompany you everywhere. But if I can, it could be my pleasure.
No, that would be awesome, Juan. No, I have so many friends all over the world. Mexico, one of those countries I really want to visit, and I don't know that many people from Mexico, unfortunately. I know, like, I don't know close people. I know a lot of Mexican people, but I don't know individual families or things like that. So I would love to see, you know, Acapulco and, you know, the West Coast, the East Coast, Veracruz, and, you know,
Yeah.
all the places where it's not for tourists, you know. Cancun and all that stuff is for the tourists. I don't want that. I want,
But you have to
yeah.
visit Cancun. It's the most beautiful beach, at least that I know, because I've
Okay,
been in many beach, but
uh-huh.
nothing like Cancun.
Sure, sure. I'll definitely go, but I won't stay the entire time in Cancun. Absolutely not, because
No. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. I want to see the rest of the country also. Michoacan. I don't know why. I like the name Michoacan. That's why I want to visit Michoacan. Because
Michoacán
yeah,
nowadays they make wonderful festivals about the dead,
El Día
the
de los
dead.
Muertos, right?
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
they it's a wonderful how they celebrate.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. It's awesome. It's great, guys. My top destination as of right now, I think, is Mexico, honestly. I would love to come to Mexico, um, just to see the country. It's so much culture. And I was telling somebody, yeah, you know, I one of the things that really attracts me to Mexico is just the culture that I see Mexican Americans have brought to the United States. I mean, the food and the language, of course. I mean, and everything else that's here. I want to go to the source, because I've seen
Yeah,
just the immigrants, but I want to see the source.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it'll be
It's
nice.
quite different, eh? It's quite different
That's
because
awesome.
when I was in the United States and I go to a Mexican restaurant, it's not the same. No, definitely
Yeah,
not the same.
yeah.
So when you comes to Mexico, you have to be prepared and your stomach be strong.
Uh-huh. Get some mole, right? I just need some
Oh
mole.
yeah, wonderful. There
I've
are
had
many.
I've had mole here, but it was they say it's authentico, but I don't think so. I mean, the person running the store is from Mexico, but he's not. The rest of the employees are not. So
Well, I just gonna tell you something. When I
yeah.
go to the United States, my relatives ask me if I can bring them some mole because they don't find the same there.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
thought that you can pass mole through the border, but I have no problems passing it. So,
Yeah, mole is okay. I mean, it doesn't if it's comes in if it's pre-packaged, if it's closed, yeah, not a problem. I mean, they're bringing food all the time from Mexico to the U.S.
yeah,
NAFTA.
yeah, but they in the border they are very strict.
Oh, yeah, I've heard that also. San Ysidro, I think, is that crossing, right? Between
Yeah.
Nogales and I don't know what two cities, but very busy place, and they're always tracking people. But if you,
Once
Mhm.
Once I spent all day long trying to pass to San Diego, cross the border in Tijuana. Oh my
uh,
God.
it
It's
took you the entire
amazing.
day. Oh wow.
Yeah, it's amazing the quantity of people who want to cross. And
Yeah.
we spent all day long trying to pass.
San Ysidro, I think you're right, Juan. San Ysidro and San Diego, they're the ones right next to each other, right? San
Hmm.
Ysidro and San Diego. Okay, okay, good, good. Because yeah, Nogales is Arizona on the Arizona side. Sonora, Nogales is in Sonora, I think, and then Arizona is on the U.S. side. So okay, interesting, interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there are borders who are easily to pass, but there are how Tijuana, Nogales, and in Tamaulipas, the border is called to, oh my God, I don't remember.
Alrighty.
But
See you later,
it's
Julissa.
very,
Yeah. I'm sorry, Juan. Go ahead. Yeah.
See you. Bye bye.
Uh-huh.
okay. Bye. Yeah, so what I was talking.
Oh, you're saying the
The other
different border
part.
crossings. Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah. So there are many that are very busy, but there are others that you can pass without problems
Much
because
more
there are,
easily. Uh-huh.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
So wherever you want to comes to Mexico, you are really, really invited.
No, I really appreciate that, Juan. That's amazing. I love the culture, the people, the food, everything is great. So I'll let you know. Just make sure you're in my classes, and then when we're in Mexico, we will switch between English and Spanish all the time, so that
Okay,
we
well,
can
I can
communicate.
send you my email in order if we lost contact for any reason.
Uh-huh. Sure thing. I'll give you mine too, actually, Juan, if you don't mind. I can type it here. I can also send you an email when you send me mine. So my email is this one. Farius 546.
Okay, let me copy.
Sure.
Various. Oh my God, I don't know how to do it.
I think if you highlight and then right click, you might be able to copy from there.
Copy. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Let me pass here. Okay. Meanwhile, tell me what you like. For example, what would you like to visit in Mexico? I am uh, close to the airport, 1 hour,
Uh-huh.
but I
Yeah.
don't know what.
Really anything for me. I mean, the culture is really what I'm interested in. Authentic culture, authentic food. I have a friend who lives in DF, and he's always traveling, so he's not in the country. But um, I think really improving the culture, improving my understanding of the culture is probably my most important, the thing I want to do the most because My Spanish has also been weaker because it used to be very strong when I had close contact with people from from Latin America, from Mexico. Now it's much less fluent because I don't speak it as often. But Spanish was my first love. After of all the languages I learned, Spanish. When I took it in school, I loved it, and then Mexican people, they've been very, very kind to me my entire life. So, and there are so many similarities between Mexican people and Indian people too, Juan, that I really enjoy. Yeah,
What
like
what are the mainly or the
the
most?
our food is so, I mean, spicy food, right? We love spicy food. Indian people love spicy food. Mexican people love spicy food. And then Spanish is not a very difficult language for us to pronounce because our language has a lot of the same sounds. Even the people, we don't look very different. Somos morenos, más o menos,
Uh-huh.
as they like to say. I mean, of course, there are very light-skinned Mexican people, very light-skinned Indian people, but more or less we have same culture. Family is very important for us, both of our cultures. Religion, traditions. Mexican, of course, is a very Christian country, but India has many different religions.
Mhm.
But a lot of those things, culture, very colorful cultures, right? And then the history of kind of colonialism, right? So India, all of these cultures became very British. Mexico, all of these cultures, ancient history, Tenochtitlan and los Aztecas, los Mayas, and then becoming Spanish, right? I mean, the world's largest Spanish country. So things like that. India and Mexico really are, emerging countries, but corruption and poverty, same situation in India. I would say maybe more than 50% of Indian people are, India is still definitely tercermundista. I mean, without a doubt.
Okay, well, for
Yeah,
for once, for one side is good because you are gonna feel like in your home.
yeah, yeah. I appreciate that a lot, Juan. But
And definitely you have to visit Teotihuacan. It's amazing, the pyramids.
oh
It's
yeah,
amazing. Yeah.
what they did
Uh,
los mayas, especially los mayas. Los aztecas también tienen pirámides, pero no sé dónde están, if they're popular, if they los mayas, pero yo sé que much more popular, I think, right?
Aztecas. So, as to say the truth, I don't know either.
Yeah.
But
Chichen
well,
Itza is in the south, right? Chichen Itza is in
it's close to Cancun.
close to
One
Cancun.
hour, no, 2 hours, I think.
So the Yucatan, right?
Yeah.
Yucatan, very nice. Yeah.
Yeah, but for example, in Cancun, there is a day called the Riviera Maya
Uh-huh.
because there are a lot of ruins there, a lot of cenotes, and it's amazing, the cenotes. Wow.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, there are a lot of places that uh, you have to visit, but yeah, unfortunately, you need a lot of money and a lot of time.
Yeah, yeah. Time, I have time now, but money, I'm still working on money. But
Yeah, you have
I,
to pay.
yeah, yeah, that's the thing. It's not cheap to travel, right? But
Yeah.
still, it was great though, Juan, learning about Mexico. It's a country I
No,
really love.
well,
So
for,
yeah.
for example, if you come here to DF, you can stay in my home. There is no problem, and you only need no, well, you don't need anything because I can't hate you, can say
Uh, host you, right?
host you. Okay,
Host
well,
is ser el huésped is to be the host, right?
okay.
Yeah.
So you
So,
can be my host, is correct?
oh, I can be your host because yo soy I'm the guest, and
Uh,
oh, actually, huésped what is huésped? Is huésped the guest or is huésped host? I think I made a mistake, Juan.
uh,
Huésped is la persona que viene a la casa se llama huésped, ¿no?
Huésped, yeah.
Yeah, so that's the guest. Okay, so you are my host, I am the guest. So you can say
Okay,
I am
okay.
hosting you.
Okay, or you can be my guest. No?
Absolutely, absolutely. Great job, Juan.
Yeah.
Siempre un
And
placer.
Here you don't have to spend any dime.
Not a dime. Yeah, no, I'm sure. I'll spend some money. I have to spend some money, but yeah, definitely not as much as if I was
Uh,
alone.
yeah.
Yeah,
Can I ask you
yeah.
how old are you?
I'm 24.
24. Okay,
Yeah.
maybe you get work with my son, who is 21.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely. I would love to.
he likes to travel a lot too.
Yeah. What's his name?
He only need. He is Jose Alberto.
Jose Alberto, huh?
Yeah. And, and my daughter is 26.
Uh-huh.
She's Karen. It's called Karen.
Uh-huh.
They're 26, but she's working, so maybe she has not the time. But my other son is independent, or he works for himself,
Uh-huh.
so maybe he has the time. And unfortunately, maybe don't find people who want to travel with them, with him, yeah. And but it maybe could carry you to know another places close to Mexico.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I love traveling, Juan. That's what I do. And having the personal connection when I was traveling in Europe a few years ago, a very kind family. I mean, I love that family because they adopted me as their son
Yeah. Yeah.
when I was traveling. And I was 22. The son was maybe 19, 20. So we were very good friends. I mean, he came to the United States also, so we visited each other. We're always in touch. Yeah, I love traveling, Juan. It's a big part of my
And, and you
personality.
say a nice word. For example, I think all these kind of things when you get someone, it could be a for because how to say. For example, we know some Chilean people
Hmm.
from Chile, and they come to visit us. We guess it or host it for some time,
Hmm.
and they and then they invite us to know his country, and we
Hmm.
spend 3 entire weeks with them, and it's amazing his country. So, what I want to try to say is that it's like how you say, how, there is a word. Is oh my, not even in Spanish I can say that word.
Was
Oh
it
my God.
like exchange program, programa de intercambio, programa
Yeah,
de?
yeah, something like that.
Uh-huh.
For example, you host some people and
Uh-huh.
then they host you. So it's
Exchange
correlative.
program. Uh-huh.
What? Yeah.
Exchange program. Uh-huh.
Okay, it's an exchange program.
Uh-huh.
So, and this way is more cheaper and is more easy to travel.
Yeah, when I was in Europe, I did the same thing actually. So I paid very little money, but then this family adopted me. They saw that I needed a place to stay. They adopted me, and I mean during the days I was traveling, I taught English to their son. I was teaching them about everything. I mean, I enjoyed it. I loved it. You know, I was learning and growing and traveling and seeing different places. It's amazing. I mean, when life is too short, Juan. You know, I mean, I think once you get that experience, I can't get enough. I'm almost like it's a droga for me to travel. You know, I need to,
Yeah, yeah.
you know, I
Yeah,
need
yeah,
to see different places, fly and see different places. Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely, absolutely.
Well, maybe I start late because, as you know, I as a carpenter, so
Yeah.
I have to work all my entire life. But now that I had my own workshop,
Hmm.
I can take time, and I have no enough money, but the I can travel um, any place. That's why I thinking seriously in going to Japan, but I have to save some money.
Hmm.
And as you say, I think that I do all my duties, and now it's time to enjoy myself. So
Absolutely. Yeah, I think you deserve it. Look, you deserve it a lot. You know, Juan. After
no,
so many, yeah.
If I deserve or no, I don't know. But I want to travel. It's amazing because to say the truth, when I take the first plane, it was only like 6 or 7 years ago. I never travel. I never. So I was afraid how to feel when you aboard a plane. But once that I do my first travel, then oh, it's okay, it's easy, it's nothing wrong, and now I like to travel a lot, but um, sometimes I don't have with who accompany me.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so my wife doesn't like to travel, so that's my problem.
Oh, yeah. It's the same situation for my dad. My dad loves to travel, but my mom is she likes to be more at home. She's doesn't like too much traveling. She travels, but not so much, right? And my
Uh,
dad is always, oh, he wants to go here, he wants to go here.
uh,
He wants to explore everything. He comes to a new city, he wants to explore the city for days, 2 days, 3 days, just walking around. But my mom doesn't like to do that. So.
Maybe you have to how you say you had to meet your father to me.
Yeah, maybe you have to introduce your father to me.
Introduce, yeah, that's the word.
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah,
you
yeah.
have to introduce,
No,
yeah.
he loves it, but he's also now my sister is 22, I am 24, so my father is I think 55, my mother is 51 or 50 something like that. So they are also in that same area where their kids are now grown up, the kids are independent. They're
Uh,
not in the house, so they have all their time to read and travel, and my mother does cooking shows for people in her community, so she loves that kind of stuff. But my dad
mm,
is all about traveling.
yeah,
Yeah,
that,
as
yeah,
much as I
yeah.
can.
Because as you said before, we deserve it, maybe.
Yeah, no, you guys definitely deserve it. I mean, all of your kids are grown up, right? 21-year-old, 26-year-old. I mean, you worked very long, very hard your entire life. Now it's time to relax and enjoy
Yeah,
your life, right? Yeah.
I don't know your father, but to me, I started with all the illness in the world. I spend most of the time with the doctor, a lot of money with the doctor.
Hmm.
So I prefer, before I died, to spend in another things, not in the doctors.
Yeah, yeah. It's tough. It's tough, especially with medical issues in life. It really makes you value life, right?
Yeah,
Once you see how, because life is, it's so, I mean, it's a gift, right? I mean, it's something that the gift of health, right? The gift of well-being, being in a good position, bienestar. It's so, I mean, it's like a treasure almost, right? You need to treat it correctly.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Well, Juan, it was a pleasure as always to speak to you. I got your email address, so I'll send you a quick email, and I look forward to us talking as much as we can on Colingo. Then, depending on my plans, if I make the decision, next time you're in the U.S., are you going to be
You
coming
let
up
me know. Yeah,
anytime
but
soon?
for example, when I go to the United States, I go to LA,
L.A. Okay.
Atlanta,
Uh-huh.
and Florida.
Okay, so the
You are
South.
on
I'm near Chicago, but I mean,
Chicago. Oh my God, it's close to Canada, right?
yeah, it's much further north. But I mean, I want to move. I'm probably not going to be living here for maybe no more than another 6 months. I think I'll move. My top destinations are Texas
Hmm.
and California.
Oh yeah.
So if I Texas is muy cerca, and of course, California is LA is there and everything. So
By the way, you are in Chicago. How far is Kamloops in Canada from you?
how
Do you know
far
Kamloops?
Kamloops? No, I don't know what that town is.
Okay.
Is it
It's,
uh
it's
is it a
it's in the
larger city?
border.
Uh-huh.
No, not so large. It's a small city, but it's almost in the border between United States and Canada.
Hmm.
And I think you are in the border.
Yeah, Chicago.
Maybe I
Chicago
know.
is actually no, no. Chicago is actually. So I live in the real city I live in is Madison, Wisconsin. So Wisconsin is el nombre del estado, and Madison is about 2 hours from Chicago. So Chicago is the nearest big city. Um,
Uh,
Unfortunately, Wisconsin doesn't directly border Canada. We have other states. So Minnesota and Michigan. Minnesota and Michigan are the two states that directly border Canada, and I lived in Michigan for many years. When I was younger, I lived in Michigan for I think 6 years, and very close to Canada. So a lot of the big
ah,
cities are
okay.
there. Yeah.
I, how to say? I look, look for
Hmm.
in the Terra, in the Google here,
Uh-huh.
and I know that you are close to the Great Lakes, right?
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Uh,
Madison and Wisconsin, Michigan, all of these states are right next to the Great Lakes. So a lot of beautiful lakes in this part of the country. Yeah.
how far from the Niagara Falls?
Niagara Falls is actually pretty far. So Niagara Falls is in New York. I am 17, maybe 15 hours drive from Niagara Falls. So I would have to
Okay.
drive. I would have to drive all the way. I could drive through Canada, or I could drive through the U.S. into New York and up. My family, my mother and father, they live in New York, so they are only 3 hours from Niagara Falls. But I'm much more to the west, so it would take me maybe 15 hours drive.
So, yeah, so you are not living with your parents.
No, no, no. They live in New York. Yeah, I live in Wisconsin.
Uh,
Different
uh,
place. Yeah.
why or how many times do you have living alone? Or
Oh,
were you
I've lived in Wisconsin for 1 year and 9 months almost.
okay?
Yeah,
And
so
do
almost
you
two
live
years.
there for your school,
Yeah,
or
this
you
is well.
want to be independent?
I wanted to be independent, number one. Yeah, and I also wanted to. So my first job after I graduated was in Wisconsin, so I came here for my job, and then now I'm kind of working on different projects. So I'm working on Colingo, working on another project, and my plan is to apply to uh, university um, to get a master's. So either in June of next year or hopefully June, July next year, I want to move somewhere else. Wisconsin, there is a really good university here, but they don't have the program that I want. So I want to study like international relations, politics, not politics so much, but definitely international stuff because I love languages and traveling and that kind of stuff. So uh,
Okay.
we'll see if that works.
So you are always working as a teacher?
Yeah, so this Colingo experience started in July. So I've been working on Colingo since July, but my job when I was working here was software project management actually. So I was managing software projects, different kinds of software projects. And my other project now, along with Colingo, is I'm working on software for hospitals. So
Uh,
yeah, I'm interested in software and technology, but I don't know if I want to make that my career. It's almost like a hobby for me right now.
okay.
Yeah, what I really want to do is um, educational. If I could find a job that combines education with technology, I would love that because I love education. I love teaching. I love using technology for education also, and also traveling. So I don't know, Juan. Estoy súper confundido. I don't know anything. I mean,
Yeah,
I like this. I like that. I can do this. Yeah,
yeah, I know your urge is very confusing.
yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
my son as well, he started to learn something and they quit it. Now he's studying programming. I don't know.
yeah, yeah.
And yes, maybe he's, as well as you is confusing or yeah, has not decided yet what to do.
Exactly. It's tough. It's tough for a lot of young people because the world is so different now. You can design your own future using technology. People work for different companies and they get experience, and then they go back to school or do some other job that they like, you know. So yeah, it's a good experience. But
Yeah, but what I think is whatever you learn is well done.
mhm.
How my father said, no matter what you do or no matter what you skill well, you have to do it well.
Yeah.
So that's what I try. So that's why I well known as a carpenter here,
Mhm.
because my clients are satisfied with the job we do. So they recommend it with others. So I can say that I do or I did well. So, but unfortunately, nor my son, nor my daughter uh, want to continue with my job. So I think the day I died is over. So
Are you going to find
that's
somebody to replace you? Maybe somebody else you can sell your business, maybe?
no. Well, the only who is interested in this kind of job is my brother. So maybe he continues.
Yeah, yeah. No, that'd be interesting. I think it's great to get that experience though, Juan, because I think artists like you know, carpenters are artists, right? I mean, I don't know if I've ever bought something that was made by a carpenter, honestly. I think
Mhm.
this furniture, this table that I'm using right now, this is all commercial plastic or commercial, you know, I go to Walmart and
Uh,
I buy their table. I mean, I don't think I have anything that is you know, IKEA exactly, right? I don't think I've ever bought a traditional handmade piece of furniture. Maybe I know my parents did. I did not. I mean, college students, we just use whatever, you know, whatever
I
is cheap.
I was trying to make business there in the United States, but as you said, you can compete there because all the stuff that you got is from inter or multinational companies.
Yeah,
We can compete it. So, but there are people who likes to make furniture by how you say by design,
yeah, by design.
yeah,
Custom furniture.
custom furniture. Yeah, you
Yeah,
got it.
custom furniture, yeah. And I love that stuff. If I can afford it, I would love to buy like a handmade. Somebody actually designed this. Somebody looked at it, designed it beautifully. It's solid, good quality, right? I mean, this table I've had for 1 year now, 1 year and maybe 5 months, and already there's scratches. I mean, it's a table, but it's not something I value. You know, if somebody came and said, "Are you going to sell this?" I will give it to them for free. You know, I mean, it has no value for me. You know, it's just
Well,
a basic table. You know.
I hope you can come to and you can see what we do,
Yeah. No,
and
I would love
maybe
to,
you
Juan.
like it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Un
Well,
placer como siempre, Juan.
yeah, as well as
Yeah.
it was nice to talk with you, and I
Absolutely.
really enjoyed this small talk.
I did
But
too.
unfortunately for me, for example, now that because it's Sunday, I can be here. But in the day weeks,
Uh-huh.
I only have time in the mornings, so in the
Yeah.
afternoons, but not at night. So, but I try to enter to your class because you are a very nice people, and I really enjoy how you say the class or you take the class.
Sure. I appreciate
And
that.
yeah, I know that people, I feel comfortable with you,
Uh-huh.
and there are another teachers that maybe there are no, you don't feel or you don't get that connection,
Uh-huh.
but with you is different. So
Awesome, Juan. I appreciate that. Yeah, I love connecting with you guys too, especially I'm talking to you. I really feel like we are connecting, learning about each other, and that's great. I always enjoy that. And you have my email, Juan. If you need anything,
okay.
if you're in the U.S., let me know. I'm traveling. I'm confused, so I will. I would love to come over to see you if you're ever here.
Okay, yeah. Thank you very much for your and yeah, I hope we keep in touch. Yeah.
Absolutely. I'll see you soon, Juan.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Bye bye.
Yep. Take care, Juan.
Have a
Bye bye.
nice day and night. I
You
don't know.
too. Good night. Yeah. Good night. Buenas noches.
Night. Bye
Yeah.
bye.
Bye bye. I like Tucson, Arizona.
The Phoenix.
Phoenix is hot. Yeah, Tucson is also hot. You know, they're both dry, but it's dry heat. It's not humid. It's not humid. So it's always, besides June, July, August, it's maybe 72, 73 degrees all the time, right? But in June, July, August, it's 105, 107 Fahrenheit. You know, so extremely, extremely hot temperatures. That's what makes me a little sad about living where I live, because it's beautiful. I love Wisconsin, but the 6 months of the year are so cold, and the other 6 months are so. The other 6 months are nice, but depends on the winter. The winters here are very, very long. I don't like the winter as much as I did before.
In Arizona, there are many Mexicans, right?
In Arizona, there are many what?
Many Mexican people.
Yes, the entire Southwest. So Texas, New Mexico. Actually, honestly, these days, Mexican Americans are everywhere. They very vibrant culture, and they've reached, you know, they have strong population centers all over the country. So even in my city, we have a strong Mexican American population. Yeah, so it's nice. I really like Texas also. I love Texas because everything is conveniently located. Like, you have one state and you can find everything in that state. It's a huge state, so driving is difficult. If you are traveling from one city to another city, you have to drive maybe 3 hours.
When I hear the Texas, my image was like a Western movie.
Like the cowboys, right?
Yeah, desert.
Yeah.
Some weed is rolling, moving around.
It's, you know, I love that cowboy culture. I actually really love that cowboy culture, because I think of the cowboy culture and I feel like it's such an independent way to live, right? You don't care about anybody, you don't care about anything except, you know, you just live your life, and people are relaxed, and they're very patriotic and very good people. I like Texans because they eat good food, they are very kind, they have a very independent way of life. They don't tolerate any kind of silly situation.
I heard beef steak was very cheap in Texas.
Oh, Texas is full of meat. I mean, if you want meat, there's no better state. Steak and beef and brisket and barbecue and anything you can imagine. Anything you can imagine. Texas is beautiful. I love Texas. But it's hot. It's a hot state. Depends on where you are. Yeah, in Texas, they have dry heat. They also have wet heat. They also have very humid weather in Texas. So it depends where. But Texas is very, very cheap state to live in also. So extra hour. It's not really true. I mean, you're sleeping the same amount of time. The clock has changed 1 hour. So, yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. But if you usually woke up at 8, now how it is? You sleep 1 more hour?
Yeah, so that's what people say, right? So yesterday, if I woke up in the morning at 8 a.m., today that would mean 7 a.m. So if my schedule is to wake up at 8 a.m., when I wake up this morning and I see 7 o'clock, which is actually 8 o'clock yesterday, then technically I have an hour extra, right? Because in my mind I'm thinking, oh, it's only 7 o'clock. Normally I wake up at 8 o'clock. So you get that extra hour of sleep. But is it really, you're not getting any time, right? I mean, the mental process should be yesterday 8 o'clock means today 7 o'clock. So if I woke up yesterday at 8, I should wake up today at 7, right? That's the correct translation. But people are people, and we're lazy. So yesterday 8 o'clock means today 8 o'clock. So I get an extra hour of sleep.
Yeah, well.
That's what people say.
You can have always everything that you want.
That's true, absolutely true. But it's funny because, like, Norway, when I was driving back, I was outside today. I was driving back home, and I heard Norway has, like, because it's so far north, there are some places in Norway that are completely dark the entire year. And 6 months of the year, completely dark, at like night outside. 6 months of the year, completely light outside. So, because it's so far north, near the North Pole, that, if you are, it's July and it's daylight 24 hours. It could be midnight, but the sun is still shining outside. 1 a.m., the sun is still shining outside. 5 a.m., sun is still shining outside. And then in the winter, every hour of the day outside is dark. So 10 a.m., it's pitch black, like night outside.
Wow.
Yeah, I would love to like live there for a couple of weeks to see if that would like change me. Can you imagine like getting up in the morning and it's dark outside, or going to sleep
Going
at
to
night?
sleep.
Yeah, and it's
How do they
completely bright. Yeah.
How do they do to sleep? They have to put curtains.
Yeah, they got to put up their curtains and their blinds or whatever, close the windows, right, so they don't. But I mean, not a lot of people live there. Very, very few people live there. But it was interesting for me to see that they did a special documentary on those people to see how they live. But interesting. Awesome, guys. Well, welcome. So Sunday night is not very popular. We only had 3 people in the last class, and now it's 2 people. So, but anyway, you guys are great for joining. So. Today, guys, we're going to be looking at prepositions of place and time, which I think we've looked at many times in the past, but we are going to be reviewing that lesson.
Vancouver, right?
Yeah, Vancouver. I love Vancouver.
I visited Vancouver 3 years ago.
Yeah, Vancouver is beautiful.
Yeah, very beautiful.
I was there maybe 6 years ago, my last time there. Very, very beautiful place.
But a little lonely place.
Yeah, it depends, because I mean, Canada, a lot of the cities are very, very far away from each other. So if you are driving from Vancouver to, I mean, the nearest big city is maybe in Alberta, which is the next province. Yeah.
Kind of quiet city.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice. The quiet but I love the scenery in Vancouver. It's a very beautiful place.
Yes.
The mountains and the water, and it's that part of the country, and that part of Canada, also that part of the United States next to Canada. So Washington State.
There are many Chinese, right?
There are a lot of Chinese people in Vancouver. Yeah, very very high Asian population in general.
Because closest city from Asian country.
It is. It's almost like a combination of San Francisco and Seattle, except in Canada. So San Francisco has a lot of, amazing Asian food, large Chinatown. Vancouver's Chinatown is huge, also very big.
Very big and old.
Yeah, definitely. There's some nice places in Vancouver. One of my friends went there 2 or 3 months ago, and he really enjoyed it. I told him all the different places to go and visit, and he liked it.
I stayed only 3 days. But actually, I couldn't enjoy because all days it rained. It rained.
Yeah, Vancouver, that's the one problem with living in that part of the country. Or I keep saying that part of the country because I think of Seattle and Vancouver being in the same area, really. So Seattle, Washington, and Vancouver, Canada are really in the same weather system. They have a lot of rain. In the U.S., we call it the Pacific Northwest. So that part of the country, that corner near Vancouver and Seattle, is the Pacific Northwest. And they get a lot of rain. Yeah, but that's why it's so green. It's extremely green.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I love it. If somebody gave me a job, I would move to Vancouver today.
Oh really?
Yeah, no hesitation. I would move right now. Right now. I would.
You can do it from anywhere.
Yeah, no, that's true. If I were to go there for school or for my for like a full-time job, then I would go to Vancouver. Yeah. If somebody gave me a full-time job right now, then I would not hesitate. Just instantly, I would go to Vancouver. Beautiful place. Beautiful. Vancouver, also Arizona. I know they have nothing in common between those 2 places, but I love Arizona.
Oh,
Love
really?
Arizona. Absolutely love Arizona.
Why? It's
The
very hot.
weather is amazing. See, it's hot, but depends where, right? So I love that because for students like me, or not students, but I guess for young people like me, we are still trying to figure out what we want to do. It's better to live in a state that has lower cost of living.
But if I can choose any place in America, I choose New York.
Yeah, you know, a lot of people love New York. My parents love New York. I mean, that's why they live in New York. But New York, man, I'm bored of New York. I'm bored of the East Coast in general. I lived in New York. I lived near Boston. I went to Washington D.C. many times. I I need to go west. I need to go west. For me, it's everything is in California and also Arizona and also Texas. So in
I
the
love
west.
avocado.
Exactly. No, it's fun. I look forward to maybe moving. I'm thinking of going to school in Texas actually, going to graduate school in Texas. So maybe next year or in a few months I'll be doing my classes from Texas.
It's good.
I don't know. Yeah, it'll be nice. Julissa, bienvenida otra vez. How are you?
Gracias. Hi. Hello.
Good, good. I thought you keep surprising me. It's such a pleasant surprise, Julissa.
Yeah, the system it doesn't suspend yet, so I think
Uh,
I still have a few more hours or days. I don't know.
maybe. That's awesome. Did you guys change your times to 1 hour back? Did you guys reverse your clocks today, Julissa?
No, we don't do that.
Oh, so now right now in Lima, is it 7:11?
Yeah, 7 p.m.
Here it's 6:11.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we changed an hour, so now we are back 1 hour. What about you guys don't do that at all in the year, never?
No, no.
Okay. Yeah, daylight savings, it's one of the crazy things about living here in the US and Canada and other countries where in the middle of the
But
fall we do
you do
that. Yeah,
this in winter and summer.
yeah, spring and fall actually.
Mm,
Yeah, so
the,
once in the spring and once in the fall. The trick is we remember in fall you fall back 1 hour, and
uh-huh.
in spring you spring forward 1 hour. So when it's like March 11, 12, something like that, we will go back to 7 o'clock or 7:12. Right now would be 7:12. But it confuses people because today when I woke up, well, actually last night I didn't go to sleep until 3 a.m. But this switch happens at 2 a.m. So all of a sudden the clock went from 1:59 to 12:59, right? So I said, what? Like, I mean, because I forgot that it was going to happen last night. But it went from 1:59 and then 2 a.m. it goes back 1 hour. So it went back from 1:59 to 12:59. I was very surprised by that. Yeah. I mean, I wasn't surprised. I knew it was going to happen, but people say that we now have the chance to sleep. And in the second part, we are going to be talking about Vancouver, which, in my opinion, and Heidi and I were talking before, Julissa, Vancouver is probably in my opinion, it's the most beautiful Canadian city. Um, Montreal is very close, but Vancouver is also very beautiful. I love the Pacific Ocean. I'm sure you do too, Julissa. In Lima, you guys have access to the Pacific Ocean. And being close to the ocean is just a very beautiful thing, and the city is amazing. So we're going to talk about Vancouver. Um, the one question I have for you guys, since we are talking about travel, is if you could choose one place in the entire world, where would you like to visit? Let's start with Julissa.
One place.
Your dream vacation, Julissa.
It has to be in a specific place or a country.
It could be a country, yeah.
Only one?
Only one.
Wow.
Your most favorite, your dream destination, dream vacation.
Mm, Maybe I don't know. I don't have one favorite. Uh,
What are your top favorites then? What are the few that you can't decide between?
I would like to visit Brazil,
Uh-huh.
the US, Canada, China.
Brazil, the U.S., Canada, China, Italy. Okay, that's 5.
So I would choose mm, China.
China, really?
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Why China?
I'm curious to know about their culture. They seem to be. I took a course when I was in college, and we could see a little bit about their long history, so many periods, and I don't know. I would like to go there to see how it is,
hmm
the
Maybe
the
visit the Great Wall.
structures. Yeah, and there is the Forbidden City.
Yes,
There is
yes, yes.
I don't know, it seems an interesting place to be.
Yeah,
And well,
no,
the food
China.
is also known to be very varied,
Uh-huh.
diverse, delicious. So I would like to try the food there, the landscape to go and see. Yeah, I don't know. It seems like it's so far away that it's it calls my attention. It
That's
calls
awesome.
or it draws.
It draws my attention is
Catch
better.
it draws my attention.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. I love how you gave a lot of good reasons, right, for why you like China. So their food definitely internationally known, right? China is almost like many different countries. There are so many varieties of foods and languages in different parts and, uh, societies, architecture, landscape. Yeah, that's an awesome, awesome choice. China was never that high on my list, but I think those are some great points. Those are some really good points.